I wanna be there to calm your fears when you're in need. Baby, ring my phone. I'll run right over and we'll make love all night long.
Gentlemen and Glenn.
Mel, don't you have some kids to run off your front lawn or something?
Oh wait, let me put these on because I'll be getting off the show early if I don't.
You pretty lively to hit your life alert up early this time and not 30 minutes into the show.
Man, bro.
That's good. We glad you joined us for the
y'all are coming out with some zingers though. I like that. Y'all are coming out with some hot ones, boy.
Mm-hmm. This recovery is something else, man.
Welcome to the beginning of the birthday celebration for me and Rob. This is the first of a 6-week celebration, so say your happy birthdays now.
Oh, you didn't hear? We are celebrating you later. Hear that?
Oh, we got something else is going on. I think our anniversary or something next week. I think something is happening other than the important stuff.
I guess you didn't get the "we don't give a damn" memo.
You know, Sean, I don't get most of your memos because they're too damn long to read.
I get the feeling that you've been working on your stand up and you gonna come hard tonight, muscle man. I'm gonna get you with your guns out.
Can I do? Sorry, in all seriousness, I want to say congratulations to Carlo Kennedy. Tomorrow he gets married. I get to be in his wedding. I'm here in Florida, ready for the wedding. I get to put on a tux, and that I can fit. Thank you, Jesus. I can fit it, and I'm excited about that. But congratulations, love you, man. You and Tammy, wishing you nothing but the best.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, congratulations to you.
Give him some love. From us, man. Great to see you all, man. Great to be here for another week. Everybody watching, thank you so much for supporting us and continuing to watch us. Copy the link and share it. Copy the link and paste it into your social media. Don't just share it to your page, but copy it and paste it. We're excited tonight. We have, I think this is the first time guest we have tonight. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, one of my very good friends, one of my Masonic brothers, and one of my mentors. So I had to put my chef jacket on because this is the guy. When y'all were at my house and all those oohs and ahs and stuff, a lot of what you tasted was because of his influence and what I learned from him and his two business partners, for that matter. I don't want to leave out my other two guys too that are part of the trio, but I'm not gonna steal his thunder. He'll tell about them.
Okay.
But yeah, man, we got a real hitter tonight.
Real hitter. Production team. Let's do it then, Chef Rome.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight let's welcome Chef Jerome Brown. Here he is sporting the Al Green's Hot Grits selection of chef coats. His book, Cooking with Rome, is a fan favorite. Selling that one page at a time, apparently. That's the way you do it. But you know what? If you cook like this, you can pretty much do whatever you want. This brother will have you eating like a celebrity in your own house. His other book, Carolina Soul, The Down Home Taste of the Carolinas. That's another good one. TV too. All right, chef. But you know what? He's a celebrity chef. That's right. Personal chef of Shaquille O'Neal. That's got to be $1,000 a day budget there. Please welcome to the Oh, we got another celebrity. Okay. Oh, more. All right. Really, chef? Really? That's what we're doing? Okay. How about this? How about that picture, chef? How about that, cowboy? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the cave. Chef Brown.
Oh, I see nobody is safe tonight. Oh my God.
Hey man, y'all foul for that last one.
Bro, don't blame us. Blame Raj.
How about that, cowboy?
Somebody really did their homework to come up with that one.
Oh man, that was funny.
That was funny.
That was pretty good. Hey man, we are honored, man, to have you with us, man. I already, even in the green room, I already got your vibe and your energy, man, and look forward to you hanging out with us, even though you came by way of mail. We're not gonna take that personally, because at least mail bring people. I stopped bringing people.
That's because your people had all messed up.
Right. Every time I bring somebody, they internet go down or something like that. Kennery is the only consistent person I've ever, introduced.
Sean be bringing out his Cricket Wireless friends.
Well, listen, man, it's an honor to be on here.
Hey, but it's 9:06. That's about Glenn's third zinger already, and good one.
I took a nap. I'm ready to go. My mind.
I'm just amazed that it's 9:06 and we getting the show started so soon.
That was Mel's retort because I said Rome came by way of him. He was gonna get me before the hour was over. He don't let those ride.
He got a list on his wall.
Yeah. On April 2nd, that Negro said, I'm gonna get him. Hey man, good to see you all, man. A lot to talk about, and I'm excited, man, to jump in it. First thing, man, we got to do is, we got to talk about those confirmation hearings, man.
We're not gonna give my boy a chance to introduce himself and say a little about himself.
Wrong. My apologies. Your bodyguard is checking me. My
That's
apologies.
Right. That's right.
Give us about 45 seconds, man, and tell us. Because obviously you're doing big things. I saw Fantasia and I saw you pickpocketing Shaq and a whole bunch of stuff. So tell us, man, what you're doing, where people can find you, all that good stuff.
Well, first of all, I wasn't pickpocketing Shaq. I was climbing out of his pocket. So
you wasn't smart enough to get nothing while you was in there? I'd have tried to get somewhere else.
I did. I came out with a car, came out with Listen, man, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be on. I thank you guys for the opportunity, man, just to, come together with some fellas. And I think I got a little feedback. Sorry about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you good, bro.
So I'm Chef Jerome Brown. Right now, I am in Tucson, Arizona right now, man. Just been cooking it up while I've been here. Can't wait to get back to the Chi, though, the Chi kind of grew on me, right? I think I've been here, 8-9 months now? Is that right, Mel? About 8-9 months?
Yeah.
And it kind of grew on me. I never thought I would be living in Chicago at all, but yeah, I'm there. And so, yeah, man. But I've been known as the Chef to the Stars. I've been a personal chef to Shaquille O'Neal, as you all have known. I've done a lot of major events, a whole lot of NBA and NFL athletes, different entertainers. They call me the Chef to the Stars, man. I'm also known for the Extreme Chef on the Food Network, right? And that was an amazing experience. I think I almost died on that one, almost drowned. No. So that was very real. That was not staged. Yeah. So when I say I'm happy to be here, I mean it as much as you believe I do. So.
Hey man, real quick, how did you tap into that market, man? That celebrity market. What corner did you turn that got you, that market?
So a lot of chefs get burnt out with the industry, and I was no different. I had gone over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, to develop menus and recipes for a company over there, and it was getting kind of dangerous. And so I came back to the States and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna take a step back from cooking for a minute. And I started working for the Department of Juvenile Justice, teaching life skills and cooking lessons to juveniles, some of which just robbed somebody's car or broke in someone's home or all kind of different crimes, man. I was just teaching them cooking and trying to give them a different perspective of life. And while I was there, I started, I was working alongside this young lady who was friends with Ike Austin. If for those of you who don't remember him, Alonzo Mourning had, the kidney problem, and they traded him from I think it was the Clippers, and man, he needed a chef. I met his assistant at BET Soundstage, gave him my card and said, hey, if he ever needs a chef, call me, man. She was so stuck up. Her nose was so far in the air. I just walked away saying, I'm never going to hear from her, right? 2 weeks later, my phone rang. It was her, and I came, I interviewed, got the job, and that turned into 23 seasons of working for NBA athletes.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible, man? I mean,
Yeah,
like I never saw it coming. It was something I wanted to do,
mm-hmm.
and I saw the vision, out there. But man, I was working for Disney. I was working
Wow.
for, other companies, and it was an amazing journey. But that just took it to a whole other level. And the beauty of that, man, you just never know who's watching you.
Yeah.
And Shaquille O'Neal's wife, she had heard about me. She had heard that I was, doing a lot of things with weight loss for athletes and different clients, and that's how I got the job working for him. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. The media exposure, people wanting to know how he was keeping their bodies intact and so on. And man, it's just turned into this amazing journey.
Well, big ups to you, man. And I think there's even another lesson in there, in that you never know what people are thinking. She walked away with you thinking, based on the stank attitude, you received, you thought there was no chance, and yada yada yada, and that wasn't where she was, or either
Right.
somebody trumped what she was thinking, or maybe that was part of her MO, was to be testing you on that level even then. So a
Right.
lot of times,
Right.
I think it speaks to the power of showing up. You just be
Absolutely.
there, and you never know what may happen, man. So you just be there, do your best, put your best foot forward, and no matter how it's looking, you may end up servicing the celebrity clientele. You dig? So, hey man, it's a great story, man. Go ahead and mute yourself when you're not talking, Chef, so that your background noise doesn't distract. And hey man, let's talk about these hearings, man. I admit, man, that I started watching them and I was so put off that I really couldn't watch them. Especially having watched Brett Kavanaugh come through not long ago, and I'm watching the way this woman is treated. I just had a hard time stomaching it, man. And so I'm curious about your thoughts, man. I'm sure a lot of them probably echo, my own feelings. But Glenn, I always look at you as our resident political analyst, so I'd love to hear from you first, man, in terms of what you think.
Yeah, it's hard to be politically correct when you look at kind of some of the things that were thrown at her. I've never seen such a display of walking female genitalia from men as I've seen from some of them, like Cruz and Holly and a few of the others, and Lindsey Graham threw a little girl tantrum as well and walked out of the room. I mean, it was just ridiculous, some of the questions that she got. And then there was a lot of bitching and complaining about the Kavanaugh hearings and how unfair they were. So they took the time to revisit Kavanaugh, who got approved in spite of everything, to revisit the
And I mean, he had legitimate charges filed against him, and he got approved, and they still rocked with him.
And we're talking about a judge who has more experience than Kavanaugh, Coney Barrett, and several other justices before they got to the bench. Yeah. So we're not talking about he just picked some random woman. We're talking about an experienced jurist who started out as a DA, as a public defender, and worked her way all the way up to a federal judge that's been approved twice by the Senate. Also, keep in mind for that event. She's going to confirm that they couldn't stop it. So they tried to dirty her up as much as possible. So it's politics. Yeah. And she understood that. She withstood it. She was great. Love what Cory Booker did to encourage her.
I did too, man. I couldn't turn away from when he was talking,
Right. So she's going to get confirmed. This is just a game that you will see now. What's interesting is Clarence Thomas is sick, and they're not disclosing how sick he is. Clarence Thomas is 73. If something happens to Clarence Thomas, this is a game-changing next pick. So, I say it all the time, but voting matters. Not voting in 2016 gave you 3 conservative justices and shifted the balance of the court. Not voting in 2022 will do the same thing to you because they're going to block the Senate. If the Senate goes back Republican, they're going to block every nomination that comes up. They did it to Obama. They're going to revisit that. So I can't emphasize enough what having a Senate that's either balanced or either tipping a little bit to the Democratic side means. Because it means the world to Republicans. And if you don't think it's a blood sport, then you're sadly mistaken. You haven't watched any news at all in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Mel, what did you have any thoughts about it, man? Did you watch it at all? Did you have any thoughts about it?
It's super interesting, bro. I'm actually pulling up something right now that I saw. Can you hear me?
You want me to circle back to you?
No.
Good?
I'm good. But I'm pulling up something right now that that one of my industry buddies, he happens to be a writer, and he had this thing that had the check marks of all the people that are judges. And I mean, there are people that literally were not public defenders,
right?
No sentencing commission, not district judges. You know, some people who were court of appeals judges, but you have people that, you know, didn't even have an Ivy League education or any of these things, check none of the boxes that she checks off, and they still found a way to try to drag her and do whatever it was to discredit her qualifications when she's one of the most qualified people that have ever been up for the position.
Yeah, keep in mind, Clarence Thomas was the head of the Civil Rights Commission. He had never judged a case in his life and was nominated for the Supreme Court.
Mel, before I ask Rob to jump in here, I want to ask you this, and then he can take the baton on the general subject as well as the question B I'm posing to you. Glenn said it's politics. You know, it's typical political play. We know that's how they get down. But can we ignore what looks like some extra in there simply because it's a black woman?
You know? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think they went harder on her because of that. You know,
and a black woman that's more intelligent than all of them, more than likely.
Yeah. They definitely attacked her more than they would have had it been a white woman appointed by a Democratic president. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was different.
Yeah. I thought it was uniquely different, but blatantly different. And I was disgusted at the way the other people were advocating it. It's kind of like that's the boldness of racism that's been enabled. You know what I'm saying?
They wanted the angry black woman to come out,
and she already knew that car was going to be pulled, and so she knew not to even do that. Rob, what did you think about it, man? Did you watch any of it? Or
I watched it, but you know, you guys have already taken what I was thinking. But on the last part about being the angry black woman, I thought she was so poised, and she did everything with a smile. I mean, that piece of it is what did it for me. And she won them over. You know, there were things there were some racial things that some of them said to her. And, I think they asked her about her religious stands. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And she just, I mean, it was just the way she did everything, you know, with a pretty smile. And she just kept her composure and said, hey, you know what? I'm a judge.
Yeah.
The reality is, man, and this is, I think it's both a blessing and a curse, you know, but all of us are seasoned enough to have been around, and we understand the nuances of how the game has to be played.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you're educated at all, you know that the rules of the game aren't the same when you're playing it versus when somebody else is playing it. And so
right.
Your greatest advantage is to walk in already embracing those rules. You don't have to like them, you know, but you have to understand that for you to, you know, succeed, you need to play them this particular way.
Yeah, but she had to be smiling. I looked at Marsha Blackburn, Senator for Tennessee. Marsha Blackburn has a degree in home economics. John G. Brown is a Harvard-trained lawyer.
Right.
This woman with a home ec degree that got a 4-H scholarship to Mississippi State.
She's a bulldog.
Yeah. Is questioning her about defining what a woman is and just
defining white privilege.
Yeah. And critical race theory and things like that. And I'm like, you didn't know what critical race theory was until you heard it in a Republican talking point.
Yeah.
And here you are questioning her with all your 4-H skills and your badges for cooking, baking cakes. Nothing wrong with baking cakes, chef, but here you are on the U.S. Senate determining a lifetime appointment. So put that in context with her questioning this overly qualified woman, eminently qualified.
Yeah, man.
So let me
Go
ask
ahead.
this question though. I got one question for you guys.
Yeah, come on.
You know, because the media kind of talked about it as well. What do you think of, you know, and it's probably a simple yes or no, the fact that she had her family there to help support her?
That's tradition. No, that's tradition. All the nominees have their family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, and that's what we've been playing up in the media too, is that she's had her husband and everybody, the rest of the family there to help her out. So I just thought everything about it. I think I watched 2 days worth, and I was just excited.
One of the things, man, that I considered, and Glenn, we don't sugarcoat anything on this show, and so we've paid the price for not sugarcoating stuff on this show, and it's a price we're more than willing to pay. But one of the things that I really enjoyed seeing was when even white Republicans spoke about how inappropriate the way she was treated was. And the thing that really rung about that for me is that I don't think that racism is a calculus problem. I think it's a very simple fix. We'll never see it resolved in our lifetime, but I think that the gap is in the people that aren't affected seeing the activity as so inhumane that they feel the need to speak out and step up. And so when I saw some of those old white male Republicans that felt like the process itself was being disrespected because of their intention to disrespect this woman, and they felt the need to speak on that, it almost gave me a weird little hope, because I really believe that's really the secret of it, man, is that the people that aren't affected by it stop going home at night and going, well, it's not touching me, so I'm not gonna complain about it or do any work, against it.
Well, what you're saying is they couldn't really touch her. It's kind of like a fight where the fighter's defense is so good and their skills are so much better.
Yeah.
Until they had no punches that actually landed and did any damage. I mean, she was endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. There were conservative judges that came out and said, this is a great jurist and she'll make a great Supreme Court justice. Conservative lawyers.
Yeah.
That said this. Conservative judges that said this.
Yeah. Hey, Chef Rome, this being your first time, man, the hour goes really, really fast. It's almost 9:23. And so I wanna touch one more subject before we talk a little bit about the whole dynamic between men and women, which is one of our favorite conversations on this show. I want to talk a little bit about Leah Thomas. The swimmer, the NCAA swimmer who recently won a championship. I really wanted to know by how big a margin did she win it? Like was she holding back because it was so easy? But the reality is this is a hypersensitive subject, and even though we speak candidly, it's never our desire to offend. And so, I want to speak openly and honestly. But I don't want to offend anybody. I consider myself an ally. But that's that's a slippery slope, man. You got, like somebody in the green room mentioned Dave Chappelle's story about, if LeBron had a sex change and he went to the WNBA and scored 862 points a night, would that be fair? And so I'd like to hear from you guys, Rob, you first, about what you think about, man, let's give it an overall question. We don't have to focus on that particular content, but is it fair, and specifically for men who've transgendered to women, is it fair for them to compete in areas where just being a man would be an advantage for you? Is that fair? Is there a way that you can paint that for me that makes me feel like it's fair? I concede I don't see it as fair. But you're a bright guy. You wear fancy glasses. You might be able to show me something that I don't know about it.
No, I don't think it's fair. I think there's a big disadvantage, to that. I do think that we do have to be sensitive because, they're treated, or we want to respect them for shifting over to where they are in the categories or what have you, trying to be politically correct. But I think, I don't think it's fair. The strength is still there. I mean, we talked about Glenn working out, or looking like he worked out. So I mean, it's it's the body movement or the body weight that still comes over to the person, although they've changed over.
This is always, before I ask to hear from Chef Rome, this is the thing I always think about. There's a scene in the original Spider-Man, Tom Holland's originals. Actually, it's the Civil War. It's the Avengers Civil War when Tony Stark first goes and recruits Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and they're talking about him concealing his powers, and he basically says he would love to play football, but he couldn't play football before, so he shouldn't play football now because now he has a legitimate advantage, and so he shouldn't play football. And so that's kind of how I think about that. That's like you're walking in with an unfair advantage, and then you want to be treated like the competition level is the same for you. And that, I just find that hard to believe. Chef Rome, did you have any thoughts about that? Did you consider it at all?
Oh, I have some thoughts. I don't know if this is an HBO program.
No, it's whatever the hell you want to say. Hey, look, you're not gonna be here next week. No way. We gonna catch the flack. So you go ahead and say whatever you want to say.
Listen,
bro.
I ain't trying to get y'all kicked off the air, but this is some bullshit. All right, I've been waiting to say that. I saw the story when it came out on Google, and I was hot. And I'm gonna tell you why I was hot. I was hot, and I'm still hot about it because the person that wrote the article made the statement that he should be, he, whatever, should be celebrated like Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
If that ain't the biggest slap in the face, I don't know what it is. One of the things I'm disgusted about as it relates to this topic is the narrative, right? I'm gonna turn this down, I'm getting feedback. It's always a narrative that works when they want it to work. Listen, at the end of the day, it is a black-white issue. It's the same thing that they did with Bruce Jenner. First thing they did is we gonna give him
criticized it wrong. Even Bruce Jenner said this was wrong.
Award for courage. Why you always comparing it to the black struggle?
Yeah.
Why does it always have to be in comparison? Who else they gonna compare it to?
And
they're comparing it to our greatness, but never want to acknowledge the greatness unless it's making them some money.
You never got behind anyway. You only use it when you're trying to pimp it to make your point. You never get behind the struggle. You just use it.
Right, and part of it is that they're trying to equate the rights of the LGBTQ community to civil rights of everyone else, particularly black folk, right? But any other time, our rights don't matter, lives don't matter. Yeah. So I think the fact that Leah, is it?
Yeah.
Won a race. I already told you what I think it is. Yeah. And I mean it.
I'm not trying to. The word you used was bullshit, Rome. I think the word you used was bullshit.
No, really. Tell us how you really feel.
And let me tell you something. The little young white girls that he was racing against, they upset. Their family's upset.
They should be.
Right. And the only reason why that whole caucasity ain't upset is because that was somebody else white that was doing it.
I love you for caucasity. I love that. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Like Kennery said, in the words of Austin Powers, that's a man, baby.
Listen, man, I can't. I didn't know we was going to talk about that tonight.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I see the look on Mel's face like, oh.
No, Mel don't care, man. Mel love to stir the pot. He just leaning back and giving you the floor and letting you do your
We
thing,
talk
Listen,
about
man.
triggers.
it's
Okay.
the same thing that they did with Dave Chappelle. Nobody really wanted to hear what he actually said. It was
Right, right.
here's an opportunity to change the narrative to get him canceled because we don't like what he said, right? Cancel me. That means I ain't got to cook for you. I do
Right.
personal cooking anyway.
Right.
So don't invite me to your home. You might not want to.
I do want to hear
So
from Mel. I do want to hear from Mel because Mel has college level track in his family, his daughter, and so I wonder as a dad, how he would feel if he came to a meet and it was a former dude, competing
So,
against his daughter.
so here's my thing, and my thoughts and opinions are mine and mine alone. I do not speak for anyone else. I don't speak for my daughter or her track team. I don't speak for anybody else on this show. I am speaking for me. My personal feeling and my personal belief is that the physiology that you get because of how you are born plays a large part in this thing, and he was ranked 462nd amongst men
Right.
and able to beat women. We gave the example of if LeBron decided, you know what, I identify as a woman and would score 800 points a night in a WNBA game. To even take it a step further, in boxing there are weight classes. Mike Tyson could not say I identify as a featherweight
And fight Floyd Mayweather.
and fight at that weight class. The physiology is different. And it's unfair. And I mean, I'm all for letting people live the lives that they want to live and however they feel and identify as and all of that. I have a problem with that. But I think that when you start crossing the lines in sports, it makes a significant difference. I think that they should compete against those who are the same. So if we have to have a transgender division, you know what I mean, where they all can compete against each other, then that's fine. But to have the additional testosterone, muscle mass, and physiology that gives you a competitive advantage over somebody, it's just not fair.
And Mel, I think you raised a good point. I mean, with the wave of our country changing and our understanding of it changing, and that community being more comfortable coming out and being itself and identifying itself, there may be room for some transgender competition, which I think would be wise and fair. We're not talking about brain power. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a different element. We can sit across from each other. It doesn't matter how you were born or how I was born if our brains are what we're using. But when we're talking about the benefit of strength based on our physiology, I don't even understand how it would be allowed. Personally, I don't even understand how it would be allowed. But I don't want to wring that dry. We're already halfway over, and I want to talk about these relationships, these women's and men's. Is I want to talk about. Rome, before I get you in trouble, brother, you gotta let me know what your status is. Are you married? We don't.
I'm engaged.
You engaged? Okay, because we don't want to get you in trouble. We don't want you sleeping on the sofa or nothing like that.
I ain't
So-
gonna sleep on the sofa, man.
It's,
So you get the first question.
All right.
So I grew up hearing this quite a lot, Rome. And I will say, and y'all know I try not to separate the genders as much as I can, but I will say that I've heard this out of the mouth of women more than I've heard out of the mouth of men. So I do respect disproportion, but I don't believe anything is a universal affirmative. But there's a saying that says you should be with somebody that loves you more than you love them. Do you think there's any validity to that, any logic to it? Anything that you can apply to that that's fair?
Should be with somebody who love you more than you love them. I think that's a problem waiting to happen.
I think the mentality is there's a vulnerability to loving someone that maybe doesn't love you. And so I think that's at the core of that statement.
So
Because,
would then, so I think, having said that, then would the question become, are you equally yoked?
well, here's the thing. I personally think, and I'll jump in on this one early on. I personally think you can't really gauge that. And not only that, but I think that your time with somebody ebbs and flows. And
Right.
so if you're with somebody long enough, I think there's going to be a stretch of time maybe where they're more into you than you are them, and there's going to be a stretch where they're you're more into them than they are you. I think that's part of the legitimate love journey. It doesn't mean the umbrella of love and commitment and fidelity isn't there, but there are going to be some times when, based on what you're going through or they're going through as individuals, you might be more or less into your mate. I helped bury my uncle this week, and it put me back in touch with a cousin of mine that I hadn't really been in touch with in many years. And her husband, she's 60 now, and her and her husband's been married since she was 19. She's now 60, he's 64. And we laughed about how long they had been married, and about how, despite the fact they love each other, there are some days when the best day for them would be not dealing with the other. Doesn't mean that they don't love each other, doesn't mean that they aren't still 100% committed to each other. But I think the reality of love is that our expectation has to be flexible. It's gonna ebb and flow, and you hope that it ebbs and flows similarly. And in those times when it's not ebbing and flowing, I think that's where you have to put the work in, and you have to
Right.
say, okay, well, despite how I'm feeling, this is what I signed up for, and this is my commitment to to
Right.
the person that I'm with. Because I think it's unrealistic to think that you're in love every day. That's not even realistic to me.
That's a fact.
Yeah, Robert, what you think? You got experience.
You guys.
Because you're the lover of life. That's
We'll
the
tell
only
Rome.
reason.
We'll
That's
tell
what he
Rome what that meant in the green room. But go ahead.
Yeah.
He meant because you're the lover of life. That's what he
And I'm
meant.
the lover of love. I think that you know what, dude, I can look back at the question, but I think that it is something about love that
Loving one mate, loving the other more than the other. Robert.
I think that there's some times when that can happen. Because remember, we go through cycles. So if you know, I like to talk about having like at the foundational level versus love, because you go in between those. So I think that you can have that love. I can have a love from my partner more than what she has for me at certain times, at certain periods. And then as we go through our dance and what have you, it'll switch. Because when we make our vows, well, congratulations to you. When we make our vows and things like that, that's loving. That's saying I love you right now as you are today. But as we go through the journey, changes, and everything else, as you said, Sean, that love may change because I'm sleeping on the couch tonight because I'm mad at your ass. So I ain't in love with you right now. So I mean, there's some differences there.
Yeah, Mel, you I really want to hear from you. I don't want to say why, but I want to hear from you.
You could say why.
Well, I mean, you are, and I applaud you for this. You are open about a recent change in your life, and so you're looking down the road at the potential of that and all it could be. And so I would think that a question like this might be particularly interesting for you as you and your lovely partner, look down the road and y'all, accept the realities of as well, akin to each other as you all are today. There may be a day when, and even if it's temporary, that you're not flowing like you do, now.
Yeah. So my take on it is the question was you should get with somebody that loves you more than them is extremely lopsided. Because now I'm always looking for them to do more for me or have more whatever for me than I have for them. And it's extremely lopsided. I mean, Rob said, everybody said it. It ebbs, it flows, it bounces back. There have been times when we were like, all right, it's been cool, need a break. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go do something with the fellas, and you go do something with your homegirls, and then we'll reconvene. It's healthy. Not to take breaks is healthy.
Yeah.
Not to take breaks is unhealthy, rather.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be some give and take. But do I think that you should be with somebody that loves you more than you love them, and that should be a standard? Absolutely not.
Glenn, I want to hear from you, and then I want to lay something about the topic itself. Just
Yeah,
over the top of it.
I think the saying itself hints at dysfunction. And this is why you're looking for somebody to love you more than you love them, meaning that you don't love yourself enough to know that you've earned whatever love you get and that whatever love you give back. So you're looking for an unequal portion of it so that you can feel better about yourself. I think that's wrong. I think you need to learn to love yourself at a level where no matter where anybody else meets you at, you're going to be comfortable with you. Because to your point, Sean, and I think you said it too, Robert, there are days when you're not going to be likable. So I need to love you when you're not lovable and like you when you're not likable. I need to be able to give you equal love, not wait for you to give more to me and then I'll give you a little bit back. We're not talking about pie. We're not dividing up a pie here. We're talking about love. We're talking about mutual respect. We're talking about two people. We're talking about a partnership. That's what we're talking about.
Because you're going to have those same days, and you're going to want that compassion and that indulgence from your partner on the days when you get up and you just cranky and
that's just a jacked up statement. That's just somebody looking for love. You're looking to be showered and loved and reinforced every day, and people don't have time for that. I'm too old for that now.
And that's where I was kind of going, man. One thing I hate about the world we live in right now, man, is how easy it is to get unhealthy messages out. And all you need is somebody else that has a similar dysfunction, to grab that message and then run with it, take the baton and run with it because they're broken in the same way you're broken. And then the next thing you know, you have that message gaining its ground, you're the broken crowd.
Right. You're assigning a condition to love already.
Mel, what did you say?
I said Rome had his hand up.
Rome had his hand up.
Come on, Rome.
Yeah. I was going to say, the thing about that question, you can only control what you can control. You can control what you do, right?
Yeah.
You're first accountable, not for what someone else does, but how you respond to it, right? So when you're talking about that particular question, never expect what ain't been put on the table. Now, if you told me that you love me and I said I love you, and we're gonna make a go at this, then I think the accountability is to be honest about where you are, right? Because like you said, yeah, it's true. Not every day you're gonna love that person or be in love with them, or you're gonna like every single thing about them. That's just a lot.
Yeah.
But you can control yourself first and foremost. All you need to know is that if you're honest and upfront with that person, that's all you can control. You can't control what they do in return.
I can tell you this. If anybody were to say that to me during the dating phase, that they needed somebody that loved them more than she loved them, it would be our last date. Because.
But I don't know that they're going to say that, on the front end, brother.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that they would. I'm just saying if they happen to let that cat out of the bag, then I'm done because I'm seeing your dysfunction, and to me that's a deep-seated dysfunction, right there, and I'm not willing to try to do battle with that.
People change later, in life. It's just like people telling us that, love, emotional love or sexual love, we're going to get a lot of that now that we're married. And for those of us who have been married, we know that changes.
Robert, you sound like you're speaking from some open wounds that you ain't healed yet.
From reality.
Call somebody?
Hey, there ain't no trigger here. This is reality. You can go into it and ask the question, ask them how often can we look at having intimacy, and they will give you one answer before you get married. And then later, you talk to brothers who've been married before, and they will tell you that once you get married, hey, it changes.
Robert Hazard is creating lie detector tests for women. The pre-marriage lie detector test.
Right.
Get yours from the Hazard Group today. The Hazard
Before
Group
I say I do.
Yeah. But before I
want
say
you
I
to
do
sign
test.
this document that says that we're going to have sex at least 5 times, a week.
So men, be sure to order your lie detector exams from Robert Hazard prior to saying the words I do.
And
man,
just as I
for you.
said that my opinions do not reflect or represent everybody else's opinions do not reflect mine or that of any entity that I serve as a board member on, or companies that I represent or train at. Thank you.
That is a true definition of CYA, Mel.
Right.
Hey man, how do you guys feel about established roles? In the world where you and your mate are sharing the same household, how do you feel about established roles in the house? Is there a real cut and dry opinion about that you have? Like in the old days, it was the man take care of everything outside the house, the woman take care of everything inside the house. Or the wife, the husband makes sure the lights are on. The wife makes sure that the children are using the lights to read and do their homework. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Mel,
Let me jump in real quick. I went to college with Rome's fiance, and I know he cooks better than her. So as far as that role is concerned, love you, sis. But
Mel trying to get some extra points.
Right.
Mel bringing it for extra points. That's right.
I'm gonna remember that,
Robert. Robert, what do you think? I mean, and I'm not. This ain't a shot, but you've been in that situation.
This time,
this time or two.
This time it ain't a shot.
And so, what was that like? Was there cut and dry, established, rules for each of you, or
in my last one,
in any of them? I wasn't gonna call the roll on you,
but no, there was no established roles because, for instance, I'm not a chef, Rome or Mel, but I do know how to cook up a few things that are tasty, and I can do that, and I have done that. But I also know how to, wash some clothes and do some other things. So it comes to a point where you have to decide who's better at what. So yard work as men, typically those are our things that we do. But in terms of some of the other stuff, it's a balance. Whatever you're good at, I'm gonna let you do it. Whatever I'm good at, let me do it. And don't critique it. Don't tell me, I can do it differently. That's my point.
Glenn, let me hear from you on that.
Yeah, I learned to cook clean at a young age, so I realized what I didn't like and what I ain't gonna do no more. And not that I got a list of them, but I think assigning roles is dumb. I think it's a partnership. And if it's a true partnership, then you support that partner with whatever you can do. Now, you may not be the best cleaner in the world, but guess what? You can hire somebody to clean. You help alleviate some of the pressure or some of the workload on them if you need to, or whatever you need to do. It's people are always trying to assign stuff to people and give it a name and qualify it and do all these things. How about just being a partnership and talk about what's burdening you and how I can help that? I think that's the conversation that needs to happen.
Rome, you in the dugout. You getting ready to come into the game, with your fiance. How do you feel about that? Are there some things outside of the kitchen? Because that really ain't fair. But
I mean, at the end of the day, man, this is where pride, you have to check your pride at the door, both sides, right? In this day and time, a lot of women are making more than the men in the household. But you're still the man, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit back and be emasculated, but it's about let's just look at what's what. And like the gentleman already said, sometimes some things she may be better at, some things I may be better at. If I see that this needs to be done, pitch in and get it done, right? Oftentimes if we listen, we just have to stop for a minute and just listen and pay attention. and that works for both sides. So I don't believe in assigning roles in a relationship. I just think it should be, check your pride at the door, have some honesty, and whatever works for the two of you, rock with that.
So we got
Now,
about 5 minutes left. And I love your answers. I think most of the things that we are faced with are resolved by conversation. Are resolved by us not walking into it with our expectations from a world that has nothing to do with what we're about to do with our mate, and it has nothing to do with what they've done with other people. What are we going to sit down together and do? Who left? Robert? Oh, no.
No,
Chef.
Yeah,
Chef.
I think
Chef.
So my question
Here it comes.
becomes. So my question becomes, as amicable as we are, and we say, yeah, we just, it's a new day. We talk about who does what best. Do we feel the same way if we're talking about finances? If your wife is a better money manager than you are you comfortable coming home and giving her your check and saying, hey babe, manage this money? Mel threw his hands up, so I don't know what his opinion is, but he's ready to give it.
Listen, man, I'm all right if she manages money better. Like when you get to that point and it's a person that you trust implicitly, then it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? If she manages if she make more money than me, I ain't got no problem with that. You know what I mean? Because it's more about the team effort and where we're going together. So I have no problem with that at all. Monique will be the first one to tell you. She's like, baby, I don't cook like you, but I order real well. You know what I mean?
My phone is on, and I can make that phone call. Robert, what you got for me?
I got the same thing. I mean, it's hey, just because we've all made great money, if she's better at the money management, go for it. It's less work for me to have to deal with, and it's less battling, and that's really what
I watched my dad, man, my entire childhood, and we got about 3 minutes. I watched my dad my entire childhood, man, come home and give his check to my mother.
Mine did too. My dad did the same thing.
He would take out, back in the day, they called it a nip. He would take out enough to get him a nip and maybe buy him a pack of cigarettes, whatever he needed to get through, the rest of the work week. He wasn't buying groceries because my mother was doing that piece of it. You know what I'm saying? So he would come home, man, give her that money and let her quarterback that thing, Now I think the challenge becomes is if you want that responsibility, you kind of can't decide one day you're tired of it. You gotta own it, and own it for the relationship. And if you want to change that, then you need to sit down and have a fresh conversation. So Glenn, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with what everybody else said. I think if she manages it better, that's great. I mean, we have something called $1 Million Conversations, and it's literally a talk every couple of weeks on what do we need to do to get to the next level. And I think if you're not having those kind of conversations, then you really need to rethink where your relationship is going when it comes to money and where things are going, because you need to really focus on you and your partner getting to that next level, whatever that is. And if she handles the money better, that's all the better for me.
Yeah, Mel, you look like you have something ready.
No, I was about to say we not having them conversations because we on my board over here in my office it say 30 million. So it's
that's good.
Okay.
1 million, 1 million at a time.
Okay.
You such an
over 30.
He's such
Rome,
an
you call him an
overachiever.
overachiever. Huh?
He is an overachiever, ain't he? You know him, Rob.
Hey man, y'all have been awesome, man. It's time for us to get out of here, Rome. I cannot thank you enough, man, for your contribution, and I appreciate you, man, navigating your space just to be with us. I saw, people moving around and you doing what you could to make sure, man, that you were engaged and they weren't, distracting. And I appreciate just the effort that you put into it, man, to your time with us, man. And I hope to be where you are one day, man. I hope to be engaged and about to do the thing with my queen one day. So I applaud you for that. Don't ask Robert for any
Don't say nothing,
advice.
Mel. I know you want to say something.
If there's anybody you want advice from, don't ask Robert. Yeah, and that's about all I got, man. So don't leave, man. Meet us back in the green room. Y'all, I love you. Nothing you can do about it. Everybody watching, thank you as always for rocking with us. We'll see you next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. It's been live from the cave. We'll see you next time.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.